English part today again on your course book. The Send Off by uh, Wilfred Owen. We'll read about him later. I'll just read about him basically what is there, but whatever is in the book. 1893 to 1918 is one of the best known war poets in English. He became interested in poetry at the age of 17 soon after he joined as a soldier in World War I. In 1916, he had several traumatic experiences, was diagnosed with cell shock, and sent to Craig Lockhart War Hospital in Edinburgh for treatment. He returned to the war front in 1918 as he felt it was necessary for him to document the atrocities of war and point out its futility. He was killed in action on 4th November 1918, 1 week before the armistice. Some of his best known poems include Dulce et Decorum Est, Futility, Anthem for Doomed Youth, and Insensibility. He was a warrior, he died for his country. Right. This poem is set against the backdrop of World War I and describes the scene of young soldiers are sent to war. The poem adopts an ironic tone that highlights futility of war. What is futility? You have to know that first. So, I'll just give a brief explanation and you will understand what is he saying to say and you will do the comprehension part. The Send Off is an anti-war poem and it is typically dark, which was a trademark of Owen's poetry. It is presented in 4 stanzas, of which is 5 lines long each, which has an A, B pattern, and interestingly all the B rhymes are shorter lines. The rhyme pattern mixed with the sombre nature of the send off gives it almost a jarring quality, It's a deliberate emphasis to the deliberate to emphasize the futility and hope of the people taken their loved ones to the station before they are shipped off to war. It is told that in the first person passively but actively addresses the reader in the final stanza, which gives a dramatic effect to the poem. Down the close, darkening lanes they sang their way to the siding shed and lined the train with faces grimly gay. Their breasts were stuck all white with wreath and spray as men's are dead. So, in the first part, the first contrast is giving of people are dead. The people are singing, which is generally considered a positive, and this stands in contrast to their environment described as a darkening lane. Another is used for the train members, that is, the soldiers are said to look grimly gay. You can tell from the description that he's using these men are a proud men. However, forbidding is an event, as the stanza ends with the word dead. This is a classic example of the darkness that Wilfred Owen is famed for. The narrator also uses the word wreaths to describe that flowers that women used to pin on the chest to their husbands. There is a significant choice of words, as the word wreath has obvious connotations surrounding death also. So they don't know that the soldiers are going to come back or not. So they think they are going to be dead. But they put that flower for good luck. The send off is a hauntingly dark, light is fading and the lanes are darkening. The use of the plural lane simplifies a sense of loss and labyrinth confusion. Owen's reference to the lined train with faces grimly gay shows that even their happiness is tempered by the oncoming misery of what awaits them. Though they don't know it yet, their lives are going to be short and full of pain. And Owen sheds light on this by foreshadowing this reaction. Creates two realities. One at the present, when the men have not yet left, are still at the station rejoicing with their families, and one of the future where the men are dead and dying, or dying and miserable. Take for example the use of the line, their breasts were all were stuck all white with wreath and spray, and the two meanings that holds up until that point. It is both joyous occasion, soldiers begged with flowers by their siblings and families, as well as the image that brings about funeral associations. Death to Owen is never very far from life. Understood? That is also one point. Another one I can say, in another way, if I want to say that this part where he says, and down the close dark lanes they sang their way to the sliding shed, and lined the train with faces grimly grey. Their breasts were stuck all white with wreath and spray, as men's are dead. The last line shows that their breasts are stuck with white wreath and spray, grimly gay. They are not happy that they are going. But the children or the family members, you bid of someone with flowers, right? So that's what they're saying. And you don't know when you are dead also, you are given flowers. It's describing a group of new soldiers departing from the trenches by train. The send-off muses upon the unknown fates of those young men who left for war. They now mock the women who gave them flowers to wish them goodwill as they left for the horrors of the front. The first three lines, the soldiers are singing, implying happiness, but their faces are grimly gay, hinting at the worry and uncertainty lurking just beneath the surface. Similarly, these young men have been adorned with wreaths of white flowers, garlanded like war heroes and brave soldiers, or a foreshadowing of the dead soldiers' funeral wreaths. And what does it mean to talk about men's breasts being stuck with the wreaths rather than ornamented or decorated? It means you are dead. When you are dead, it shows that this has been taken off you. The poem also predicts that those soldiers who are lucky enough to return home alive will find their hometowns and villages to be very different, half known from the ones they left. There will be no crowds of girls to greet them and cheer them as there was to see them off, and no celebration of their heroism. And many who returned, like Septimus Smith in Virginia's Woolf, Mrs. Dalloway, would never be the same again, mentally scared by shell shock and PTSD and the horrors they had witnessed. As the great philosopher Grandad from Only Fools and Horses once put it, twisting the old slogan popular at that time, they promised us homes fit for heroes. They gave us heroes fit for homes. The send-off is actually what are effectively 4 or 5 line stanzas, which is the actual meaning of it. We'll come to that. In the second one it says, dull porters watched them and a casual tramp stood staring hard, sorry to miss them from the upland camp. Then unmoved signals nodded a lamp, winked to the guard. The train left. What is interesting about this stanza is that I'll come back in the next video.